All right, guys, we're back again today with the Chimera Ant arc. We're going to start this week off with humans and or today's episode off with humans. Then next we'll go into the Chimera Ants just because there's so many characters in this arc that it'd be a
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
So,
This arc is super long. So yeah, this is. I mean, the theme of the arc too is that the humans and the ants are the same, but we're gonna divide them into two.
yeah, I think this arc is like what, like 60 something episodes compared to the other arcs, which are like around 20, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
It's
pretty
huge.
crazy how long this one is compared to the others. But yeah, if you have nothing else to add, we can start. Yeah. All right. First up, we have Ponzu. Uh, she gets murked
Yeah,
pretty early.
pretty early on. Yeah, she gets marked. Yeah, she doesn't have a huge appearance, but I know a lot of people like her. I think it's probably just because she's one of the few like I don't know, cute girls in Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
She commands bees, which I guess is related to ants in some thematic way.
Mhm.
Regardless, she gets murked so early on. She's like a D in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was weird, honestly, that they included her.
Yeah,
It felt like she was just there to get shot in the head.
I think they were trying to like sort of power scale the ants,
Possibly.
but
But we don't really know much about like
exactly that's the hard part. Like we don't really know much about her or Pockle because already she got like whooped by a Gone in the Hunter exam arc.
yeah, which was like ages
So
ago. In,
So her getting whooped doesn't really mean much.
yeah, I mean, possibly it could have just been like to show how ruthless they are. But I mean, I think that them
Yeah. Yeah.
kidnapping villages was enough to do that. But what are you gonna do? So yeah, D tier. Next up, Pockle, another meh character.
Yeah. Uh, I pretty much feel the exact same. Like Pockle at least passed the Hunter exam mark with going in them,
Mhm.
but still did it in the cringiest way. Like
Yeah.
he didn't fight anybody in the
Uh-huh.
final part. I thought the scene where he's like hiding from them and then gets found out by Pito is somewhat tense, I guess.
Yeah.
And he uses like his arrow Nen ability, which is like somewhat cool. So I would think he ranks above Ponzu, but
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Because he actually had something to do in the arc. She literally just dies. Yeah. So next up we have Shoot, one of the two new, kind of on a similar tier to Gon and Killua characters that were introduced in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But they are men.
they are men.
Um, yeah, shoot. He's Knuckles' partner, um, but I wasn't too compelled by him. Like they showed early on that he uh, gets like just afraid or like tense in battle. Um, and he eventually kind of overcomes that when he's fighting Yuppie. But beyond that, eh, I didn't really get much out of his character. His net ability was somewhat cool,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it
like
was.
making things disappear from reality and his hands.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. There's a lot of cool characters in this arc. So yeah, I think right where you have him is good.
Yeah, I think the idea with him was pretty cool. The fact that like he's more of a relatable character, where like he gets like shy or not shy, but like afraid or nervous in combat is like really cool, and to show him kind of overcoming that later on was an interesting kind of dynamic to this arc. I think that he really only shined in the last few, or like in the fight really, where like you could see him overcome that. Other than that, I honestly didn't really care about him. But yeah, I think just C tier. He was decent, but compared to these other characters, I don't think he holds a candle to them. So yeah. Next up we have Biscuit.
Yeah,
Uh, he returns this arc.
yeah, which was very pleasant in my opinion because
Yeah.
we just have like Kite get murked, like literally murdered, and like Gon and Killua are just like totally distraught.
Mhm.
Um, and Bisky comes, and I think that she adds like a lighter tone to the arc. She also has this really, I think, cool conversation with Killua where she basically tells him that he's going to like run away from Gon and let Gon die,
Mhm.
um, which I thought was cool. And also, she finally shows her muscular form to Killua at least.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I thought that she was like the right person to have in this arc to train them. I don't think Palm could have done that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I liked seeing her. I liked her new design in the arc too. What she did with her hair, kind of similar to me, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think she there's at least a B. Anywhere higher, I'd be fine with. But I'm
Um,
personally a Biscuit stan. So
okay. I liked her better in this arc than I did the previous one, to be honest. I think she served a better guiding role in this arc because, like you said, like after Kite just gets like destroyed, Gon is like in shambles, and Killua is like trying to help him out, but they really just don't know what to do, and they get sent back, and then there's like Palm there, which is not the best person to be training you. And then Bisky shows up, which is like someone that they know, like a friendly figure, and someone who can actually like train them. She knows what they're like. So I think that having her in this arc was a really good choice, and I honestly really liked it. I would put her in A probably. I think honestly, I think we may need to reevaluate later on just because of what we have going on here. I think that this scale is going to be different from the rest just because it's an epic arc.
yeah,
But I'm happy leaving her here for now, and then we can revisit some of our choices later on.
like if Shoot was in Heaven's Arena, I think he'd be like at least a B or maybe an A.
I think yeah,
Uh,
it'd probably be like an 8 to be honest because
yeah,
we didn't have
uh,
much competition there, and it's all pretty relative.
yeah,
Yeah. So next up we have Kite. Uh, yeah, he was like the first new character introduced this arc, and then immediately, well, not immediately, but pretty quickly gets destroyed.
yeah. So I like Kite. I think his net ability is super cool.
Mhm.
Um, and it was nice to see someone who's closer to Jean than Gon. Um, I think yeah, he was overall a cool character. I think the 2011 anime did him dirty because I'm not sure if you're aware, but in the 1999 anime, in the first episode, Kite is around. Uh, like,
Of the anime.
yeah, remember that scene? It's a flashback in the 2011 anime where they show like Gon getting smacked by
Oh, the bear.
Kite. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
after yeah, um, going up to the bear. That is like one of the first scenes in Hunter x Hunter 1999,
Oh,
um, which makes Gon's reaction to Kite's death and like attachment to Kite in general
hmm,
like a lot more reasonable. Like I know it's the same sequence of events since we get that flashback, but as an audience member, I cared a lot less about Kite than I probably would have if his character was introduced earlier, and so his death didn't hit too hard for me. Um, Regardless, I think he's a cool character and has a great design and great Nen. So I think he probably deserves at least be probably a yeah.
yeah. I'd put him above Bisky. Do you agree? Yeah, I think Kite's like you said, his net ability is really cool. I think if we had seen more of him, honestly, probably could have gone to an S. But I just think it was necessary for them to do what they did to him, and I think it was really good for the story and especially Gon's like character progression. So I understand what they did. I just think that the character could have been really cool, and I guess hopefully we will get to see more of him later on. If they do
Yeah.
adapt the rest of it into an anime. But yeah, I think A tier, great character. I think this arc had a lot of really cool introduction, like new Nen abilities. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is like the
Yeah.
strongest Nen ability arc. There's so
Yeah, the
many.
Nen was so crazy.
Yeah, they
Like
really turned it up.
to talk a little bit about Kite, like
Mhm.
uh yeah, like a luck based Nen ability.
Yeah,
Like
that's
they talk about restrictions so much. Uh but yeah, this really gets creative with how you're restricting yourself.
mhm.
Um yeah.
It also lends to like a lot of versatility as well, and just like it shows how well he has to understand his ability because he has to know what to do with like whatever role he gets in any given moment. So
Yeah.
he has to constantly
Yeah.
be thinking about that, which is really cool. So yeah,
Big brain.
really cool in that ability. Next up we have Nav. What do you think about
I
him?
mean, you clearly did him dirty in the picture that you got for this.
Yeah.
He's literally at his worst.
Yes.
Um, I really, really like the scene where Gon and Killua are leaving the NGL and they see Netero, Nav, and Morel like walking up, and you're like, dang, these are some powerful people. Like,
Yeah.
now they're calling in the big guns now. Um, and for that reason, I generally liked Nav. When they were in the NGL, sort of killing ants, his ability was cool.
Mhm.
But I feel like the most attention he ever gets is in sort of this scene when he sneaks into the palace and he drops the teleporter or his portal, whatever you want to call it. Um, and then he gets like super freaked out by the Nen of, I think it was Poof actually. Um, but yeah, that scene didn't like it did a lot to like I understand what they were trying to do, right? Which was like, wow, the Royal Guard is like so powerful that even these extremely experienced Nen users are like afraid of them. Um, but it was a little over the top in my opinion. Like all of his hair falling out and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
really liked him like running away in the mud
Mhm.
and that was cool. But his hair and stuff, I don't know that it didn't hit as hard for that reason. I think he deserves a B or bottom of A.
Yeah, I think B's good. I agree with you. It was a little bit over the top, but I think it was a cool idea. Maybe just not executed completely correctly. But yeah.
Hmm.
Next up we have Zeno, Granddaddy's oldest.
Yeah.
What do you think about
Uh,
this arc?
I was so glad when he showed up in this arc. Um, he was a very cool character in the York New City arc, of course, and we see that he's like powerful, and then again he shows up. He's only in it for like uh, probably not even a minute of in universe time, but his entrance at the Netero will like always be an amazing scene, and him calling down the dragons is such a cool Nen ability.
Uh-huh.
Um, He also kills Cheetu, which I like because I didn't like Cheetu. Or no, I think Silva kills Cheetu, but he's
Yeah,
involved
yeah,
with the death. Yeah, I think he's a super cool character, and I think his appearance in this arc was pretty great. I think he's like an A.
yeah. I would agree. I think it was one of like the more iconic scenes in the entire show. To be honest, just seeing the dragons rain down from the sky and just him and Netero popping up. Great.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then on that same train, we have another Zoldyck family member, Killa. What do you think about him this far?
Yeah, I think um, Killua was pretty great in this arc. I think both Gon and Killua were very great in this arc. I mean, Killua, I feel like has more of his development earlier on in the arc when he's getting over like the fact that this idea that he has to run from powerful opponents
Mhm.
unless he has like a guaranteed shot of victory. The one like, and I really liked that struggle and him like dealing with the fact inside himself that he will leave going to die someday. Um, but I wasn't the biggest fan of how they resolved it with him just having a needle in his head and pulling it out
Mhm.
and like it literally being fixed.
Yeah.
Um, you can argue that this is like symbolism and he really was just like emotionally getting over it. And this is just to symbolize he's finally gotten over it. Um, but I don't know. Again, it was a little too on the nose that there was this needle in him telling him that he should run away from powerful opponents. Regardless, it was very cool development, and he deserves like I think a and also who am I kidding? The freaking what is it? Godspeed or
I think it's Godspeed. Yeah. I might have
yeah
to a different anime because it's definitely removed from an anime.
yeah. Sorry, the real fans, but
Yeah.
Godspeed is what I'm gonna call it. That
Yeah.
scene is so cool.
It is. Yeah.
For that, yeah, I think probably top of A or bottom of S.
Yeah, I'd agree. Top of A. I think, like you said, I think that whole thing with his like emotional growth was a bit tacky. Maybe I think that they could have done it in a way where like they showed him struggling and then overcoming it more. But I will say, like, for their benefit, it was already like 60 something episodes this arc. I think that they were pretty crunched for time, to be honest. So you could argue that that maybe was the reasoning behind it, but I mean, also I still think that they could have done something with the time a little bit better. But needless to say, he's still top of a great character in this arc, you know. And then with that, we move on to Morel.
So Morel is one of my favorite characters, probably my second favorite character introduced in this arc. Because come on, his net ability is so good. He has this massive pipe and he just smokes out of it and
Mhm.
can create things. Furthermore, he shows to be like such a tactical genius throughout some of the battles here.
Yeah,
Um, like he's obviously, Poof doesn't go all out on him or anything, but he's like locks himself in a 1v1 versus Poof.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then when his fight against Cheetu,
That's what I
like,
was gonna say as well.
yeah, like you can talk about that, but he just big brained him so hard.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, he just lies down and he waits for Chitu to try to do something. And then in the end, I think Chitu comes up with some, like, he tries to develop some new power and didn't end up working on Morel. He had to run away, basically. I don't really remember too many of the details. I just remember him badass just taking a nap while Chitu, like, what? Are we going to fight? What's going on?
Yeah, and while he's taking the nap, he makes a smoke clone of himself and is
Yeah.
crawling. Yeah, he's just the biggest brain character. Like there are, big brain characters. We're gonna get to Komugi or whatever, but I don't know. Morel was just such a cool character too.
Yeah.
He also like in the fight against the Lion Man or the Tiger Man, um, he like sucks all the oxygen out of the room, right?
Yeah.
Or
I
yeah,
believe so. He also makes a whole, like, tornado, or not tornado,
yeah,
but like
like a
a whirlpool.
vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That man can
yeah.
blow.
I think Morel is S tier.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree, definitely. I think he was, like you said, one of the coolest characters introduced, and he's kind of like the full package. Like, yes, he's like incredibly, you know, tactical and really smart, but he's also just like a really cool guy, and like he's
yeah,
fun, like funny,
yeah.
like has a few like funny lines throughout the arc, and yeah, he's just a great character overall.
And
Just S tier.
the other scene where like he's involved and it's a great scene is when he's like he wants to see if Gon is like super committed, and so he asks him to hit him with everything he's got.
Mhm.
Um, the focus of that scene is definitely on Gon, how he's like getting unhinged and all that. But it was cool that Morel like did that, and also like him when he rips off his shirt and he's like flexing. He's JoJo character right there. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. All he has to do is hit the post.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of JoJo characters and also amazing characters, moving on to, I think, probably my favorite of the new introduced characters, Knuckle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Knuckle is such a great character in this arc. So first off, get it out the way. He loves the dogs. He's an
Yes.
animal lover. He's a man with a heart.
Mhm.
Um, and that heart shows throughout the whole arc, which makes him such a likable character, right? Because with his look, you're obviously assuming he's some sort of like, rough
Macho.
type, which he sort of is, but also, he's got that heart of gold
Yeah.
around him. Yeah, and then he decides that he wants to like teach Gon like how to be good at Nen,
Mhm.
and he gives him a bunch of tips, even though all they had to do was just like beat
Right.
them and take their tiles.
Yeah.
And he does teach Gon how to be better at Nen. And his own Nen ability is so cool.
Yes.
I love his Nen ability. Yeah, I mean he's the best character that was introduced in this arc, and I think deserves to be at the top of this list.
I agree. Yeah. Knuckle was great. I think, yeah, honestly, everything that you said, I completely agree with. He was such like a lovable character, but at the same time, very like macho and like, like very like present all the time. He's very like, he has a very big personality. And I just loved all the scenes of like him and what was the lizard's name that can go invisible?
Oh, Meleoria. Uh,
Yes, him and Melee Oreo just like going invisible, punching, and like running away throughout like the entire fight. That was really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
loved him, and like you said, his net ability was incredible, really fun.
yeah. Because his Nen ability, in theory, can take out like super high level opponents.
Exactly.
And then the way he used it to track Cheetu,
Yeah,
when like yeah, Cheetu's coming. Uh, yeah, amazing character.
yeah. It's also surprising given like I think Knuckle is single-handedly the most like unexpected character in this arc. Like you look at
Yeah.
him and you think like this very like kind of dense, like I said, like
Mhm.
macho, very like bro, like oh, like I'm gonna beat people up. But he's like smart with his like ability. Like his ability requires like a lot of like knowledge, like intellectual abilities. And then he's also like got the heart of gold, like you said. Like he feeds like 50 puppies at the beginning of the arc while he's waiting for Gon, and he teaches Gon his net ability. He's just a great character, and even like you can see him crying. We love
Yeah. Yeah. The new characters in this arc were so good, but I think he was the best.
that 100%. Yeah, his design is also really cool. Reminds me of Josuke. I don't know if you know who that one is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to Netero.
I mean, back to back to back to back bangers.
100%.
Netero obviously like shows up in this arc, like
Yes,
compared
always
to
shows up.
in the Hunter exam arc, right? Because in the Hunter exam, we get the vibe that he's like a powerful guy, but we don't really know that much more. But uh, yeah, obviously the fight with Meruem is like one of the coolest fights, and it just has an amazing ending. And like his backstory, like this whole series talks about like sacrifice, and like you have to kind of just like sacrifice something to get net abilities. But the way that Netero does it is not by like, sacrificing some part of himself or anything like that. He just sacrificed like 10 years training.
Yeah,
Um,
just punching, just straight
yeah,
punch.
just punching.
Uh-huh.
That's just such a cool concept that he was just in that field punching, uh, or you know,
Yeah, yeah, can't forget that.
um, yeah, of course. Yeah, and his entrance in this arc is amazing. He's just super great. I think he maybe deserves to be either below Knuckle or below Morel. Not sure.
This is a tough choice, to be honest. I think, like you said, really, really cool scenes in this arc. I think his entrance was amazing. Him and Zeno just pulling up, and then also them escorting Meruem away to go
Yeah.
fight. They're like, "Come with me," and then just walk off. And the fight itself was amazing. And then he also had that. What was the name of the bomb that goes off at the very end?
Oh,
Like
the
when he
the
dies.
rose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cherry rose, whatever. He had a bomb basically set up where when he died, like it would just go off. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was a great character, but I honestly like Morel more.
Yeah. I respect it.
Yeah, great character though. Really
Yeah.
cool.
I like it's scary, and it's intentionally what they did, but he looks so scary when like all the life is drained from him and he's like, you know, sets off the bomb.
Mhm.
But um yeah, the fight obviously was like parallel to the Pito versus Gon fight that happens,
Mhm.
and it's those two fights just like really drove home the theme of the arc that like humans and ants are the same, right? Because the tool that Netero used to beat Meruem was like this thing that has like killed so many humans and is like such a terrible thing. Um, yeah,
Yeah, this arc had a lot of really cool elements to it, and I think you would really benefit from just like rewatching this arc, knowing how it ends. So yeah.
yeah,
With that being said, on to our final two, we have Gon.
yeah. This is Gon's arc. Like this is
Yeah.
when he finally, I think, pays off as a character because I like Gon previously. He's just sort of just a stereotypical like anime protagonist who's gonna fight for his friends and show up and be powerful. He always wants to fight people. But in this arc, he's, introduced to the real world, and like someone he cares about dies, because like that's the cruelty of the world,
Mhm.
and he just goes bonkers. The scene where Gon transforms is like goated. Like that scene,
Yeah.
it's like it blows your mind. Like I don't think anyone, unless they've like had spoilers, I don't think anyone can see that and like not just like have their mind blown.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and it's not really like a fight between him and Pito,
Not at
because
all.
he just smashes her. Um, but yeah, I think Gon, great character in this arc. Amazing scene. Probably had one of, if not the best scenes in the arc.
Mhm.
Um, Regardless, I didn't empathize that much with his like care for Kite, like we sort of talked about previously,
Yeah.
which made some of the things hit less hard. Um, I still think though he probably deserves to be at the top of, or not the top, the bottom of S, or maybe above Netero.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you were saying, just a really cool kind of ending to the character story. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go in the future, but I think if you'd watched any of our previous videos, you could tell we were talking about kind of Gon's characters building towards something, slowly kind of showing like darker sides to him. Whereas like the first arc is just like a fully like happy-go-lucky, like, oh, I'm gonna go be a hunter and meet my dad. And then we kind of flash forward to this, and that transition, while looking at like one end to the next, is kind of hard to see where it came from. I think if you go back, you can really see how Gon's character was evolving and moving towards this. And I just think that the moment where he snaps, even before he transforms, like when he first goes and like sees Pito, and he's like,
Yeah, and he's
"You need to
like
go,
sitting there.
you need to go take care of Kite," you know.
Yeah,
He's like a different person completely, and even Kilo can tell. Kilo was like looking at him like horrified, and he doesn't even know what to do about it. And then Gon just goes crazy. He snaps, which I think we all probably could see where it came from. I think one change I would make is, like you were saying, it was a little bit difficult for us to kind of empathize with what he was going for. Like I think maybe if they had spent more time building up Kite's character, then we could really understand where Gon is coming from and tell that there was like a relationship there that would call for this kind of reaction. I think maybe like if someone was like Killua, that we had like grown to see and like love, had gone through what Kite did and then Gon reacted that way, I think it would have been a definitely like much stronger scene. But regardless, great scene, great character. I think above Netero. I think third in S.
yeah, reasonable.
And then to finish us off, we have Komegi. Komugi?
Komugi.
Komegi? Yeah, Komugi.
Yeah, she's the blind queen that we all stand in this arc. Yeah, her relationship with Netero was 100% like a huge part of the emotional core of this arc.
Merowin.
Um,
Not Netero.
oh yeah, um, yeah, uh, and I didn't particularly like her character that much though. Like, I just thought she served like a very nice role in the arc. Um, I think it was cool to see another side of Nen, because I don't know how explicit they are about it, but I'm pretty sure it's like either implied or said that like her grandmasterness like in some sense uses Nen. Because they talk about like natural born Nen users.
Mhm.
I think the other one that's mentioned or we see in the arc or in the series is like Neon, who's the um, mob boss's daughter.
Yeah.
Uh, it was cool to see that. It was interesting when she was getting pecked on and destroyed by birds and didn't even say anything so as to
Yeah.
not disturb the king.
Uh-huh.
um but in their relationship, the one I really liked was Meruem. So she's I think I could see her anywhere from below Nav to right behind Killua. Anywhere in
Yeah,
that
I
range
think
makes sense.
I think she's a difficult one because I think she serves as like a catalyst for this arc and like for Meruem. I think without her in the arc or a character like her, um, the whole uh, the whole arc with Meruem and like his emotional growth wouldn't have been possible. So for that, I think she deserves some credit. But if you look at just her character, she's just like nothing too crazy about her, nothing too special. So I think we should probably put her at the beginning of B. I think she led to a lot of beautiful moments between her and Meruem and a lot of like deeper parts of the arc. But I think her character overall, we can't really attribute it to her, more to Meruem, you know?
Yeah, and one point I want to just clear up: how old is Komugi? How old do you think she was, based on how she was presented?
So my initial thought, I thought she was like 10, but I
Right.
have looked it up, and isn't there a lot of conflicting like things? Some people say she's like 19.
I'm looking it up right now, and yeah, it doesn't seem clear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, from what I got, like what I glossed was that she was, yeah, like 10 or 12 or something, like Gon's age.
Mhm.
Um, but then like the relationship with Meruem is like sort of clearly like romantic, or like at least they're like really hinting at that.
Mhm.
Um, but also Meruem is like a month or something. So I
Yeah,
don't know how
to
you
be fair,
balance
he's not
them.
even legal either.
Yeah, I don't know how to think about that.
Uh,
This is, yeah, it's not human, and who knows? But yeah, that was just a point I was kind of confused about while watching.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I will note the final scene with him and her, where like they're both dying, and or I believe it was just him dying, right? No, no, they were both dying,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Oh, like let's just play one more game together," and they die playing the game. I think that was really nice.
Yeah,
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 but it doesn't make me want to move her.
yeah.
Just thought I'd say that. Yeah, we're pretty much done. Do we want to move anything around here? No,
I think this is good.
I think this is good as well. A lot of really strong characters this arc.
Yeah.
What was your favorite new Nen ability of these introduced? Let's do that.
Okay, new net ability. Favorite has to go to Netero, I think.
Okay.
The Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it's pronounced, but um, yeah, it's so cool. I think, and then the zero hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. I
What about
think
you?
honestly mine was probably Morel. I really liked his a lot. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, I mean,
Also so
the
unique as well.
the balls on this guy to just walk around with that huge pipe, and
Yeah.
literally, like, net abilities are so personal. It's not like he was given this. Like, he chose to
Yeah.
make his net ability smoking.
Uh-huh.
Um, and those lungs, oh my god.
Yeah. That man is of another world.
Despite his constant usage, it seems like his lungs have absolute perfect capacity,
Yeah.
more
If
than
anyone's gonna
anyone's.
be smoking, it should be him.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyways, yeah, I think we're all done. Next video will be on the ants. We'll get to go into Meruem and maybe redeem Komogi a little bit. But yeah, yeah, we'll see you guys then. Like, subscribe, everything to add. All right, see you guys.